The commonest way people deceive themselves is by presupposing something as self-evident and not examining it. Hegel said that, and if he were alive today, the first thing he would examine is aura farming. Okay, probably not, but that's why I'm here. So just in case my grandma's watching, aura is just a fashion industry-esque recycling of the same old idea. Aura, just like jeans fashion, is what used to be swag but is now wider. At least that's the popular explanation. However, the problem is saying a tomato is just a red potato doesn't actually answer what a tomato or a potato is. That's why I want to show you the real millennia-old origin of aura so we could examine this primordial social phenomenon and try to understand what it says about us. I hope you're sitting down because the idea of aura is thousands of years old. It had endless names throughout history beyond just swag, despite what TikTok would have you believe. Hegel called it Geist, Schopenhauer called it the will to live, Carl Jung called it libido, and Yoda called it the force. However, all these names refer to the same fundamental energy or life force of being. We experience aura most prominently in what's numinous, what simultaneously attracts and terrifies. When something has aura, it has a weight that mysteriously exceeds its material form. Think of taboo words that for some reason carry more weight than others, or of sacred places compared to those which are profane and unimportant. And of course, people or characters that radiate unmatched energy. So when chronically online people speak of aura, they're inherently referring to someone, whether fictional or not, who is a carrier of mana. A mana personality. Now, mana is the most ancient way of understanding aura. It refers to an inherent spiritual, psychic energy that moves humans and fundamentally the whole of reality. Who knows why one wakes up, gets out of bed, and seeks things? What force or why thrust us into existence continues spinning the earth and the trees growing? Mana is an ancient way of trying to conceptualize this force. But crucially, mana exists out of our control. You don't have mana. Mana has you. When we speak of true mana personalities truly having high aura, they're the people that can tap into this force. It's like surfing a wave. You don't own it, you just go with it. And when we speak of aura farming, it partly refers to people making the human all too human mistake of thinking it belongs to them. Then we have compilations of people walking around with inflated personalities that eventually pop. But from what I could gather, the problem with the modern idea of aura is that it's conflating two distinct aspects. On the one hand, on the behavior level, when someone has aura, it means they are extremely proficient and competent in the game they participate in. They're the top 1% of masters that are able to not only compete, but do so in a playful and improvising manner. They're basically the equivalent of skateboarders, staying on top of the board, which is the main game, but having such proficiency that they can play additional games on top of it, doing unnecessary tricks. That's what swag is, the ability to innovate and improvise during the course of action due to masterful ability. In this sense, aura is an acquired state combining skill, dominance, competency, and play. But on the other hand, on the psychic level, having aura refers to being in a flow state that permeates the whole personality. It's being identified with mana and devoted to it. The forefront symbol of such a personality is the wizard. Not only are they masters in a skill sense with their ability to do magic, but the whole personality is charged with this life force. Being in true harmony with mana makes them wise, mysterious, and calm. But fascinatingly, the behavior people exhibit when having aura or farming it can be also explained at the neurological level too. We now know the brain has specialized regions for tracking your social status in a group, and the neurochemistry of the brain actually differs depending on your position in a social hierarchy. People with high status usually have high serotonin levels, which means they don't have a lot of anxiety, and also they have low cortisol, which means they don't feel a lot of stress. All this combined plus other details makes a high status person seem always content. They're never too high and never too low. Now, is that not precisely what's happening when someone is aura farming? I've seen many athletes called out for it when they act too calm in exciting situations.
He's scoring last-minute free kick stunners against Manchester United. hell's wrong with this guy?
But in essence, they're just mimicking or acting out their newfound high status. I think it looks a bit awkward precisely because it's new to them. They're kind of like a teenager trying to look cool while smoking cigarettes. They're not used to being grown up and are still sort of play acting it, practicing. But when someone is deservedly high status and exhibits the associated cool behavior patterns, we are inescapably attracted to it, whether positively through imitation or negatively through competition. Inescapably because it's a fundamental brain system which you cannot just turn off. But to better understand this psychic level aura, we must turn our attention to the original, with the capital O, by some estimates 40,000-year-old mana personalities, shamans. Shaman? A shaman, in my view, was the most important person in the tribe because even the chief would consult with them. Shamans were historically the carriers of knowledge, wisdom, rituals, and prophecies. But looking back with our modern psychological understanding, shamans were the people most in touch with the unconscious. In simple terms, they could feel the vibe of the tribe and prophesize the future by being in touch with the little signs that signals what's likely to happen. Basically, they were the original artists and philosophers. What makes someone a true artist and shaman is their willingness to completely open up to the currents of what's beyond rational and conscious. But speaking more scientifically, shamans were the people voicing and guarding the implicit, non-declarative knowledge of the tribe. At the time, an ability of exceeding rarity. Basically, they were the people that knew how to ride a bike, that's an example of non-declarative knowledge, and how to teach it. Naturally, for the pre-scientific mind, this ability was associated with magic, and thus you have the symbol of the mysterious shaman. When we speak of aura farming, however, we in essence refer to the negative connotation around the word shaman that exists today. People pretending to be mana personalities are aura farmers. They either identify themselves with mana, making the terrible mistake of believing it's in their possession, or they're simply acting like someone who would have mana. They manipulate the mysterious aspect and try to thrive on deceitful ambiguity. And this manifests in both levels of aura that we analyze. There are people pretending to have outstanding ability, but I think aura farming refers more to those pretending on the psychic level. They try to simulate the vibe of being a shaman. But finally, it's no wonder to me that the most popular examples of high aura originate from the East via anime. What you usually see is a character acting oddly calm in a very stressful situation. And the parallel with shamans is still here too. You see, shamans are not only high-status people like we talked about from the neurological perspective. They actually are beyond the group's hierarchy. If you imagine a shaman, they obviously do not participate in everyday life events. They do not follow the common life trajectories. They practice a Buddhist-like approach of drawing back their life force from everyday life. In other words, they do not waste mana on material or social worries. Now, your dad might think, why the hell would you do that? But psychologically, what's happening is that by renouncing their ties to reality, they draw back all that attention, think energy, and thus can harvest it within. Lose all attachments and you will never lose anything again. Basically, shamans are primitive introverts. It's basically the same idea in the classic kung fu movies where the character hides off in a cave for 10 years practicing their sword style, or why artists like to barricade up somewhere remote. They're harvesting the extra energy acquired by detaching it from outside stimuli and turning it within. Naturally, this letting go approach, being so ingrained in Eastern culture, pops up in modern anime too. The Westerners get fascinated with depictions of complete inward energy that is so foreign to our own extroverted and material approach to life, and make endless shorts imitating it. When an anime character fights off 1,000 NPCs, that symbolizes the mana personality being beyond the hierarchy of the general society, just like the shaman, by this mechanism of renunciation. It is also why they're so commonly depicted as outsiders or loners, emphasizing the same point. That's why from this perspective, aura farming in real life is often completely see-through and awkward, because it is such an alien approach to most Westerners. The dominating cultural aesthetic and materialist approach to life cannot successfully harvest mana because it it exists within. Those skipping this part try to nevertheless force mana by mimicry and eventually get called out for it. The negative connotation of shamanism that exists in us moderns obviously stems from all the faking of it, but fundamentally, I think it comes from a misunderstanding. Just like a Buddhist monk meditating might seem like doing nothing to the businessman, while at the same time it is documented that the North American natives viewed the Europeans as insane and frenzied. It's two completely different directions of the flow of energy, one within, the other without. The crucial part being is that they're complementary to each other and not in opposition. Just something to think about. Anyway, consider subscribing with notifications on to make sure that YouTube shows you all of my new videos. See you next time.